Padres' only route to acquiring another starting pitcher may be making a trade. And today I'm going to list the 5 potential trades that would get us there. How's it going, everyone? My name is FamedFriar. Welcome back to another video where today I am going to be discussing the trades that the Padres can make to land a starting pitcher, as well as improve their roster, of course, as their journey to the World Series continues this offseason. As we very well know, AJ Preller is not done adding. I have a few teams that have players that we want, as well as I'm willing to give away players they want, because, trades are two-sided. They can't ever be one-sided. You can't just give up, 2 prospects that no one's heard of and expect to get Sandy Alcantara. But yes, I have 5 trades in here, and I have 1 bonus trade that's kind of interesting, and I'm interested to hear people's opinions on all these trades. But before we even start talking about the trades, if you're yet to hit that subscribe button, I highly recommend you do so. If you could please hit the like button while you're at it, mean a lot to me. Let's hop into this list. So this first trade is my favorite trade. This is my favorite trade, and I actually didn't even come up with this trade. It was a Redsox YouTube channel talking about the possibility of trading for Ha-Seong Kim, and this trade makes a lot of sense the more you think about it for the San Diego Padres. In my opinion, I did a poll asking people, hey, who's more expendable, Trent Grisham or Ha-Seong Kim? And everyone said Ha-Seong Kim for the most part. People have no faith in Jose Azocar and David Dahl. I mean, I think they can hold it down till maximum the deadline, but that's not what we're discussing today. Today we are discussing what type of trades we can make to get a starting pitcher, and I'm going to start naming them off. So this is once again from the Red Sox page. We trade away Ha-Seong Kim and we get Tanner Houck back. Tanner Houck, young, controllable pitcher, still pre-arbitration, so he's only getting paid $500K, which is the most important thing. Besides his control, the arbitration is very, very important. I personally don't even know why the Red Sox would want to make this trade, but if a Red Sox fan is willing to say it can happen and he thinks it's a good trade for the Red Sox, I'm willing to double down and say it's a better trade for the Padres. Now, obviously, giving up Ha-Seong Kim would hurt, but putting Cronenworth at second and Carpenter at first would be very, very easy to shift over. Of course, then who's going to play DH? And that plays into the next part of this. When you trade away Ha-Seong Kim, you're trading away $7 million off the books. We only have $6 million to work with right now. That's why we haven't been able to sign a Johnny Cueto or a Michael Wacha if we want to stay under the 273 luxury tax. But when you trade $7 mil for $500K, you end up having $12.5 mil in total to spend. And with $12.5 mil in total, you could land yourself a David Peralta. You could land yourself a DH. You could land yourself a couple of options. AJ Pollock, one of my favorite options. You have a lot of different options that you can land with this, and that's why I love this trade. And when I watched this in this Red Sox video, I was very excited by this idea because we killed 2 birds with 1 stone. We get a young, controllable pitcher. Yes, he doesn't pitch as many innings as anyone else on this list, but he was on pace to match Nick Martinez. So hopefully the thought is you can extend him out even more. Of course, he did have a little bit of a back injury at the end of the year, but his slider is very good. I believe he has a splitter as well that's pretty solid, as well as he can spot up his fastball really nice. That's a little tidbit about Tanner Houck. Giving away Ha-Seong Kim would hurt, but the fact that we can fill him in, and it's kind of a situation right now with the San Diego Padres where it's like this. The only way we can acquire players is by trading away either the last of our farm, which AJ Preller does not seem the most interested in, or we can trade away Trent Grisham or Ha-Seong Kim, which according to Dennis Lin, we're more than willing to do so, which I don't know if more than willing means we're willing to go out and, we're putting offers out, discussing them, or if we're listening to offers. I'm unsure. I take it as we're more than willing to, so if we get the right offer, we're going to 100% jump on it. But that's besides the point. You get yourself a cheap, controllable pitcher, a guy that has major upside in Tanner Houck, and you also can add another bat to this lineup. So you don't really lose a lot. You get a younger pitcher, you get someone to add to the rotation who's going to be around for a while, as well as you still get to add to the outfield/DH situation because now you have money to spend. Speaking of money, this next trade's an interesting money trade, and that is going to be Carlos Carrasco for Drew Pomeranz, a trade with the Mets. Cookie Carrasco is supposedly on the trade block. I remember hearing an article about it a while ago. I didn't really read into it too much because it didn't interest me at the time, but after going back and reading into it, I see him as maybe a possibility. He's a very solid pitcher. Yes, he is due $14.5 million this year. That's why we would need to trade Drew Pomeranz in that trade to stay under that line, and we wouldn't be able to get anything else besides Carrasco. But if you're confident in the lineup, adding Carrasco could be a very, very good situation. Carrasco is deemed a negative contract on MLB trade values, so that's why Drew Pomeranz was able to be traded for him. Do I think he's a negative contract? Not necessarily. $14.5 million is a lot for him, but Teaming him up with Ruben Niebla sounds like a great idea, giving him one last run to perform together. Last year, the contract for both Pomeranz and Cookie Carrasco. So it could be a bad contract swap. He's a very decent starter, I would say above average, someone you can rely on in the regular season and the postseason. That's why I'm kind of open to this idea. I think value-wise, it makes sense. It's almost like I said, a bad contract swap. Who knows if Steve Cohen would be open to even doing a bad contract swap, because he has as much money as he wants. He can do whatever he wants. That's why it's very, very interesting. Now, we're going to start with the Marlins, guys. We have 4 names to name off with the Marlins, 4 trade targets for the Marlins, 4 trades that I hypothetically threw out there. They're all accepted by MLB trade values. All of these trades that I said in this video were all accepted due to their module. And yes, they're pretty spot on with most things. Their value's a little off here and there, but I do believe in their value chart decently. I would say it's very dependable. A couple players I disagree with. Now let's hop into naming off these Marlin trades. I'm going to rapid fire the trades and kind of talk about everything that I have to say about them. First one is going to be Pablo Lopez coming to San Diego, the big trade that everyone's dreaming of. And a lot of people are saying we can just give up Grisham. I personally don't believe that. I think Grisham's value is not that high, as well as it's going to take a lot more. So I put Grisham, Campisano, Mears, Eggy Rosario, and Steven Wilson to make this trade happen. It's about even on the trade value site. It was accepted. They get 2 prospects. They get 2 major league ready players. You get a lot. And of course, you get Trent Grisham. It's a lot to give away, but Pablo Lopez is young, controllable, had a really good first half last year, and if him and Snell can cancel out their bad halves, we will have a dynamite rotation. Now the next Marlins trade, Campisano, Montesino, Eggy Rosario, and Robbie Snelling in exchange for Edward Cabrera. Once again, even value. According to the website, I think all around it's not a bad trade for either side. It's not the most win now trade maybe the Marlins want, because the Marlins are trying to track themselves into a winning position, but they still get Campisano once again because I think the Padres have too many catchers. But according to AJ Cassavell, we are going to maybe add another catcher in his opinion, or definitely a DH. It's very, very well possible. You know, you have Rosario, you have Snelling, very, very solid pieces to get back for Edward Cabrera, because Edward Cabrera has high upside and he's young and controllable. Now the other one that's very, very interesting, of course, is Jesus Luzardo, Grisham, Eggy, Rosario, and Steven Wilson. I don't know what the value is on Luzardo. I don't know how the Marlins view Luzardo. He hasn't been there that long. He didn't come through the system. I don't know how they view him. I don't even know, to be honest, how they view Trent Grisham. There's been rumors that they're not big fans of Trent Grisham and they want more than just Grisham, and we're willing to give him more than just Grisham. Of course, some of these guys are going to give them a positive impact. Eggy Rosario is going to be very, very solid for them as they want more infielders. Steven Wilson, you can never have too many relievers, so that's why I really like this. And I think that Marlins fans would maybe be interested if they start researching some of the names that I mentioned. The last one is going to be Grisham straight up for Braxton Garrett. It's about a little bit of an overpay in our opinion, but even if the Marlins are a little bit lower on Trent Grisham, they're going to get good value back. Of course, the question is, what would we do in the outfield? I'm completely unsure. I am focusing on this video right now. How can we trade for a starting pitcher? And that's why I'm discussing how can we trade for a starting pitcher. I think there's plenty of options, you know, in the outfield. There's rarely a situation where you run out of outfielders. It felt like we had a surplus of outfielders at the beginning of this offseason. You know, it felt like we had a lot of shortstops and then we had a lot of outfielders, you know, Tatis, Grisham, Soto, and now we're even talking about trading one of the outfielders, trading one of the middle infielders being Ha-Seong Kim. It's all very, very interesting stuff. If I was to rank my preferability on all these trades, I'm going to rank it Hulk number 1. I'm going to say Edward Cabrera number 2. Number 3, I'm going to go with Pablo Lopez. I'm not crazy over Pablo Lopez, but he's a very, very good pitcher. There's no questioning that. And I'll put Garrett and Luzardo kind of in the same boat, because Garrett's probably one of the more reliable options, but he doesn't have as much upside as the other guys. Once again, in my opinion, the best one is the one that the Red Sox fan came up with. Shout out to him for that trade idea. I really like it. It gives us a chance to stack our roster even deeper, and they get the shortstop they need because, well, we stole their shortstop. But that is going to wrap up this video. If you guys like content like this, please hit that like button. Subscribe if you have not already. Comment down below your guys' list of what pitchers you want to trade for, and also what would you be willing to give up, of course. And I'll see you guys all in the next video very, very soon. Peace. Yes. 305.
to the 619, baby. Let's go. Let's go, San Diego. Live that shit up, San Diego. Let's fucking go. Woo! It's our fucking house.
Hey.
It's our house right here, baby. Let's
I
go.
love